right, technical session number 1. Throughout this course, we will have about 50 technical sessions that we're going to be going through. Some of them are pretty quick, some of them take quite a bit of time. We don't necessarily do them in order. We have them kind of jumbled up a bit to match up with the other program we're going to be running through to get for certification Coursera. So we may do T1, T2, T3, T8, T5, T7, T15, and we'll jump around a little bit. And that's because we're trying to make it so you're kind of hearing about the same things at the same time and not jumping all over the place trying to figure out what's going on a day-to-day basis. So today's technical session, we're going to be going over the industry, introduction kind of to the industry.
It says recording. Did I press something wrong?
No, I started a recording. I record the T sessions in case you guys need them later. And we'll give the YouTube link to that in a little bit.
Okay.
So, all right. All right. Remember, just a general reminder, please put questions in the chat as we're going through. If you have a question, just type it in the chat and then we can kind of work through and Rachel can field questions as we work through. So we'll get to certain stopping points. We'll ask for questions at that point. So Ume, if you have a question, can you please type it in the chat? All right. Let's see, here we go. So main objectives for this particular technical session are to describe some of the opportunities and potential pathways for an IT professionals in the industry and kind of the value of being trained for an IT role. We're going to be talking about some of the primary responsibilities of an IT professional and how those may play out in a given day. And then finally, we're going to articulate the importance of getting to know the guidelines and norms within any employer organization. All right, we'll be talking about these as we go along, but with each of these technical sessions, we try to associate it with particular behavioral skill and mindset. For this particular one, we're going to be talking about adaptability, which is highly valued within the IT industry because it's ever changing. Things are always going on. You're not always going to face things that you see on a regular basis. You're going to be experiencing new and exciting problems. Some of them great, some of them not so great, some of them extremely stressful, some of them casual. But we need to be able to adapt and change to these situations as they arise on our day-to-day activities. And then maintaining what is called a future orientation. Understanding what we do today affects what's going to happen a year, 6 months, 5 years down the line. So we need to have an idea as to where we want to be so we can set up a path or map to get there. If you want to be a system administrator, what do you got to do? Find somebody who's a system administrator and see what jobs they had to prepare them to get where they are. What kind of training, what kind of certifications? Hint, A+ is a pretty good start. So I'm going to throw this one out to the gallery. What do you already know about being an IT professional? I know there's a couple out you that actually are IT professionals right now, but what do you already know about it? Crystal.
Good morning, everyone. I know that being an IT professional is never ending. Being an IT professional is almost like being a teacher. We're always going to need teachers and we're always going to need IT professionals.
Like it seems to be the direction we're going where, you know, IT professionals are becoming very much in demand and standard, especially when you start looking at the level of remote work that is now being done. You know, some industries are moving away from that back into the office environment. Some industries found that it is more productive and they have a higher morale with their staff working from home. What do you find exciting about this? Like, what is driving you to come in here? What is it that made you say, I want to be an IT professional. This is something I want to pursue or get into. Kayla.
Honestly, the problem solving aspect of it is what really excites me because of the
Okay.
challenge.
The challenge, problem solving. Okay. Is there anybody out there who decided they wanted to get into IT because they didn't really want to deal with people? Like, computers are easy. I just want to deal with computers.
Yes.
I have really, really unfortunate news for you.
Don't scare me.
Like any, IT is very much a customer-oriented, customer service type job. You will be dealing with people. Now, whether that is external or internal customers, depends on the organization you work with. But yes, you will be dealing with people. It may not be to the degree you did before, but yes, you will have, usually it's more interaction than people thought there would be with IT. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Did you have a question, Stephen?
Oh, no, I
Answer
just
for the one
wanted
we were
to,
talking about?
yeah, I just wanted to say, I don't mind. I mean, I've been doing customer service for like 10 plus years and
Mhm.
like jobs in general, my experience. But it's just like, I got into IT because I don't have like the sale aspect anymore, like trying to sell people things.
Okay.
Now I can just help people without that pressure of, making a sale. So that's why I
Okay.
moved into this field.
Reminds me of a saying my father always told me, and that was, everybody's a salesman. Most people just don't know what they're selling. So in this, you're selling yourself. You're selling your skill set. You want the person on the other end of that phone to be confident in your skills and your ability to solve that problem. If somebody calls in and says, half my files are missing, my computer's slowing down and I can't do anything, and I have a presentation in like 30 minutes, I need your help. And you don't want to respond with like, have you tried restarting it? I guess. You want to exude a little confidence when you're talking. So, you're gonna, to a degree, be selling yourself, your skill sets. So that will be a big part of it. Yes, Crystal.
I was going to say that the thing that excites me about the IT profession is job stability for me. I have a very heavy background in program management, as many people do in the DC area. And if I can, when I'm successful as an IT professional, it will definitely take me to the next tier of like job stability, and it'll make me much more marketable than I am right now.
Very good. Do you have a CAPM or a PMP?
No, that's what I'm aiming for though. And I do believe that because I have more than 20 years of experience as a federal contractor, I do believe once I'm done with my IT classes, I'll have enough to obtain my PMP.
I imagine you will. I think it's like 3 years of experience is all you really need in the
Yes.
last 5. 3 years in the last 5 is what they look for.
Yes. So that would be
that is a gold combination, which is your program, project management and IT together.
Yes.
So a lot of people look for that.
Yes.
Ume, did you have a question?
No.
Okay. Babakar, and then I'll get Galen next, and we'll...
For me, is mostly the remote work potential.
Okay.
Like I like to travel back and forth. So if I can have a job that will give me the options of working remotely, that'll be great. And the flexibility too. Like with IT, you can work at different industries, be it the auto industry, healthcare. You can just the opportunities is out there. So you can just go to any industry and find a job there.
I like it. So Babakar is trying to maintain his bi-coastal lifestyle, which is good. I like that. Galen.
Well, after I say this, I have a question real quick. But so I was doing a lot of like manual labor, general labor jobs. I was before driving, and I was fine. I was younger, you know, I'm 38 years old. I was younger. I was going through, I was like, I can do this. I wasn't really thinking for the future. Like I was thinking like I was like, if I do this, I'll make this and I'll be able to get this. Like like I was living in the moment basically.
Mhm.
My last job with being a motor vehicle operator, like I had gotten sick, like I had gotten ketoacidosis. I wasn't like really taking care of like the way I wasn't really eating right. I was just like
It's
on
hard
the
to eat right on
move.
the road.
Yeah, I was just like grabbing something and I'd be on the move. And I got sick, right? So I gotten sick and I was in the hospital for like 2 weeks. And they brought me back. Everything's regular now. I lost like 25 pounds and I had gotten fired. Like my boss fired me. So, but as I was working, my brother, he does, like he works with computers and stuff like that. And I've never seen him this happy. Like he was doing the same things that I was doing.
Mhm.
And he just dropped it and he started doing this. And I've never seen him this happy in my life. And we've always liked
That
similar
says a lot.
things. Yeah. So I figured why not, you know? And plus I can't just sit on my butt all day and do nothing. So, you know what I'm saying?
I
Now,
respect
I just,
that.
before I leave, I'm sorry, guys. Let's have one question. So I'm on Slack right now, right? And I'm in it says it's NYC, it's underscore NYC underscore 002 underscore students.
Mhm.
That's the correct chat to be in, right?
Yep, that's our class. You guys are the second class for the NYC group. Yes.
Okay. And you posted a link in this chat right here? that
Yeah,
I'm
if you
supposed to
click on
be
the
in?
little safety pin that's at the top, it'll show you the link for the to get you back into this Zoom class. So it's a quick way to go to that link to get it for the class. That's all. And then
Okay.
we're going to be putting the slides in for the technical session for the day.
Okay, got it. Okay, thank you, guys. Thank you.
Mhm. All right, Ume Joseph, hold off for just a minute. We got one more question we're going to get into. If you want, unless you want to answer that one, which is, what particularly about this makes you nervous about getting into IT? What about this profession makes you nervous? So we've talked about job security, problem solving, job and, enjoying the job, getting some job satisfaction, things like that. Adriel.
I would definitely say it's probably being able to be confident in your own skills, knowing that the industry is always changing.
Okay.
It's you can specialize in a certain thing, but it's like being able to say like, hey, I mean, I am adaptable. I can make sure that, say, whatever happens while I'm working here, ... I can be reliable and I can do my job efficiently. That's what makes me nervous as somebody who values being able to be stable
Okay.
and having things. I'm more proactive than reactive because I tend to second guess myself when there's a time limit.
I got you.
So if there's sensitive information and somebody's screaming at me, it's like, hey, listen, I'm just as scared as you are. I want your files to be good because I need this job.
Yeah.
So
That's fair.
it's
That's
just
a fair
that.
one.
Yeah.
That is a fair one. I like that. Donald.
Yeah, what makes me nervous is coming from a career path that really has nothing to do with IT.
Mhm.
So like coming from being a mechanic, a plumber, a cook, none
Okay.
of those things were utilizing technology in the way that, an IT job would. So that's the thing I'm most nervous about. Everything else I think I can work on,
I respect that. But also, I think I mentioned it day one. I'll mention it again. If you come in with almost no knowledge, you actually have a bit of an advantage because you already know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And that is it may not seem like it, but that's a powerful tool because you know exactly where you're starting. You know that, all of this information I've got to absorb. You're not sitting there going like, oh yeah, I've heard of this before. Oh yeah, I've talked about that before, and discarding it as it's coming in.
Yeah.
So you're going to be a little more detail oriented in your pursuits than somebody who's been in the industry for 5-10 years.
Okay.
So don't think of it as a flaw. Think of it as actually an advantage.
Nice. Thank you.
Artez, and then we will go with Joseph, and then we'll head on from there. So.
I think what makes me nervous and is the same thing that makes me excited is learning the lingo and all of the vocabulary about it. It's easy to know how to just plug something and match the green with the green for the speakers or USB with USB, but once you start learning the language, that's when you're really into it. It makes me nervous and excited at the same time.
I like that, because in essence, it is almost like learning an entirely new language as we go through. And the funny thing is many of you won't realize how your language is evolving. And then you'll be talking to a friend or a family member about what you're doing in class, and then you'll get that glassy-eyed look where there's kind of like, they're not registering what you're saying. And then when you have that moment, you'll be like, oh, okay, I get it. I'm starting to use different phrases and terminology and stuff like that I wasn't using before. My language is evolving. So you will have that moment. Joseph.
I would say it doesn't really make me nervous, but I guess as the field changes frequently, so you will always have to stay, on top of things. And if you don't, you pretty much get left behind. I don't know if that's a fact or not, but
I mean, it is, but and that is a very, very fair thing to be nervous about. But what was one of the first things we said to you? If you want to be successful in IT,
true.
What do you got to do?
Yeah, you gotta love it. You have to have a passion for it, and you have to,
you got to be interested in it.
Interested, yeah.
I got buddy. I'm not a huge sports guy. Like I never heard of Walter Bond before that particular video. When I saw it, but just, the way it went through it, like I liked the message that went through it. But I got buddies that can literally tell you like all the Hall of Fame players and their stats going all the way back to like the 60s.
Right.
Because that's what.
Right. That's why I say it didn't really make me nervous, but I was just trying to think of something to answer the question.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
And a good thing throughout, understanding in IT, especially good, kind of touching on what Adrian was talking about, nobody knows everything in this industry. There's nobody who, even when you start getting into some of these specialized fields, they don't know everything. There's always going to be a learning curve.
Yeah.
But you also got to remember, many times you're operating with a team, and you have to be able to rely upon the skills of your teammates as well. Because what I may be great at, which is running my mouth, one of my teammates may not be, but they may be better at networking. So we build upon these skills, but it also means that we can learn from them. In that moment, they'll be your shark. You latch onto them, you learn from them and those skills. And then a month or two down the road, you may have a skill set that they need help with, and then they can latch onto you and learn. That's not to say, when we're talking that the industry is not going to be stressful. IT can be extremely stressful. As Adrian was talking about, like somebody's on the verge of losing all their data. That can be extremely stressful. But we'll talk about stress management and stuff like that as we go through. But a lot of it, if you're really interested and excited about what you're doing, you're able to handle, or you don't notice as much of the stress. If you're in a job that you hate, that you dread getting up and going to work every day, every little bit of stress just keeps compounding on top of each other. But if you're doing something you love, that stress can motivate you. And you don't really necessarily feel it because it's more of a feeling of excitement than dread. So, just a thought. All right. So quick one, you should see something on your screen where you should be able to type just a quick answer. What does information technology essentially mean to you? It's very generic, very basic, very broad. What exactly does it mean for you? There we go.
Oh my gosh.
Can you see it, Galen?
Yeah, it's not, I can't answer the question. It's not letting me answer.
Well, here's the question. Are you trying to type on my screen, or are you trying to type on the web link that we looked up earlier?
Oh, forgive me. Okay.
I only say that because it's exactly what I did.
Okay. All right. So forgive me because I was making myself together.
I don't see the web link. I'm sorry. Is it
In the
Slack?
chat, right? I don't see it either.
I put it in the chat for Zoom. I'm dropping it again. So you should have it. Be able to type in. Just give it a couple, like another minute or so. All right, most topics involving tech and the use of computers to store data and run processes. Information from computers.
Excuse me. Where should I find the link?
I put the link in the chat for Zoom. If you look in there.
I don't see anything to click on though. I only see the coach.
It's not in the Slack, right?
No, it is not in Slack. It is in chat for Zoom.
Yeah, the chat I can go up or down. Let me see. Oh yeah, I can go up, down. Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
We can work on that issue a little bit later, Crystal. No problem.
I don't even know how to. Oh, there goes the chat. Duh.
So there we go. Activity involves processing of information communications through using electronic equipment like that. So again, we're just learning to use these tools. Don't overly stress about it right off the bat, but over time, you're going to become better with them.
I'm sorry. What was the question again?
What does information technology mean to you? When I use that term, information technology, what does that mean to you?
Thank you.
Using computer systems, process data, like that. Problem solving with all things computers. Consistent evolution of IT systems using binary code. Okay. Excellent. How it is defined with regards to the course. Information technology, or IT, is the field of computers, their operation, and their maintenance. Although I will say, more often than not, when we are solving problems, it is usually solving problems with people, not necessarily programs. But we will build upon that. go. So, Bureau of Labor Statistics, this is old data. I will not lie, it is old data. So, employment opportunities for technical occupations projected to grow around 13% from 2016 to 2026. I believe that has actually been increased, especially since the COVID era. IT became extremely high in demand because you have a lot of people working from home, which means you need more IT professionals to try to facilitate that and make things run smoothly, which is a little bit easier or a little bit more difficult than when you control all the systems like in a singular office where you control the servers, the ISPs, all the programs, the equipment, everything, versus somebody logging in remotely. So you have a lot more variables involved. So roughly they're talking about 500,000 jobs by 2026 and about 3.9 million to 4.4 million, I believe, from 2014 to 2044. A lot of this has to do with cloud computing. It is one of the fastest growing markets we have currently. More and more companies are moving that direction for various reasons. We'll get into that. There are different types of clouds and things like that, but it does allow for a little bit greater flexibility with regards to your business models, although it does introduce a lot more security issues with regards to your business models. But again, that is something we'll discuss a little bit later in the course. Annual wage, the median, which I think is like around the middle, they're the average wage for an IT professional, and this is back in 2016, was roughly about $82,000. Currently, due to economic issues, starting salaries for IT professionals is actually starting to rise pretty rapidly, depending on your skill sets, because they are having to be able to recruit talented individuals. The median wage for all other occupations as of 2016 was roughly around $37,000. Entry level in IT, this was back in 2016. This does not hold right now. You're probably looking in the $20 to $25 an hour range, roughly, for starting positions in IT now. And again, that is a starting position for help desk. And this would be somebody who is like usually a tier 1, possibly a tier 2, depending on the certifications you're walking in with. And again, that is a starting point, not even a median. Depending on what field you're in, that can jump up to 30, depending on how in demand what you're doing is. So you do have a variety of options. One that they touted, and in my initial one, again, these are 2016 numbers, was a medical records and health IT technician. There's about $35,000 to $40,000 a year. I can tell you from my old partner, he basically started out, and this was about a year ago, before he even trained for his certifications, which he needed certifications in what's called the EPIC systems. And this is in the IT field, IT help desk. General, starting out, he started out at $75 a year. That was just had his A+, a little bit of prior experience, maybe a couple of months prior, and then what he gained here, 75,000. He got his certifications, and it has gone up significantly since then. So 3 months, he was working hard, attaining his certificates in EPIC systems, and now is doing quite well. So again, these numbers are a little bit outdated at this point in time. But I also want to kind of give you guys a warning. You remember when I was saying know your why? when you were sitting there looking for your why and you're trying to figure out exactly why you're here, don't say money. When you're looking for an IT position you want to get into, don't look at the average salary. Look at something that's going to excite you, that's going to make you interested, that's going to make you want to be there. Because you may pick one because it has a higher starting salary and it's really boring. You know, you're sitting there and you're just databasing all day and it's just not fun. You don't enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to want to be the best at it, in which case you may not even get to the median salary. But if you pick a field that excites you, like if it's cybersecurity or coding or cloud, and it's really, you know, fascinating and you're interested in it, you're going to actually want to be the best. And then the median salary is just the floor. I mean, you can make so much more. So the skills you develop and the interest you hold in something can actually lead you to much higher salaries than what the average is. So don't let the average salary guide you into that particular field. Look for what interests you or what you find exciting. So when I say a job versus a career path, what does that mean to you? What's the difference, Joseph?
Well, a job to me, it doesn't really have any growth. It's pretty much something that's you know, temporary. It doesn't really have any yeah, like I said, growth. Career path is something that I feel it has a lot of growth in it. It has a lot of opportunity.
Okay.
That's pretty much in simple terms.
Okay. Galen? I like that, Joseph.
Well, a job is basically what he said. I don't mean to just piggyback straight off his answer, but it's like a job. It's like there's no plans for the future. You don't really know where you're going to end up. The job is like you could get hurt, like what happened to me, and you could be out of the job. You then with no way, you have no idea what to do. You have to start fresh. You have a career is like it's like planning for the future. Like, all right, I want to be here in 2 years. If I do this and I attain this, I can end up here. You know what I'm saying? To me, I don't know if that's right, but that's how I look at it.
No, I mean, you guys are right there. You guys are all knocking on the right door. Stacy?
A job is more like week to week. A career is more like passion, something you love and enjoy doing. So when you're at work, you don't feel like you're really doing work. You're just doing something that, you know, you enjoy doing.
Okay. Abukar?
Yeah, it's more like what he just mentioned to me. A job is like a 9-to-5 thing. You just expect to get paid so you can solve problems or take care of family. But when it comes to career, this is something that you love to do. You want to stay with that field for the rest of your life or for the long run. So that's how I think so.
All right, last one, Adriel, excuse me.
Yeah, I agree with what everybody was saying. I think it's more being able to say you have a job just means that you're doing something right now. You know, if you have a career, that means, say for instance, like Galen said, something happens, you still have a marketable skill set. Just because you get fired, that could be that company's loss, you know? Because now you still have your skills and you go to another company, you could still ask for what you were getting paid or more because you know what you're actually worth. You know, you can go here, you can go there, you can go there.
And whether or not you're in an in-demand field or not.
Yes, definitely.
So the way I always thought about it is the job is what you're doing right now. It doesn't matter if the career path is that direction to get you where you want to go. Now, whether or not your job is on your career path is a different story. But the job is right now. Career path is your map to get you where you want to go. It's kind of how I view it. But everybody was like pretty much right there on that right that same field. All right, next. How might having a strong future orientation, we haven't even talked about that yet, but I guess we can kind of have an idea, help you be more successful on your career path? So how might that help you? Joseph?
If you're always thinking about what you're doing now will benefit you in the future, I feel you would create more of an urgency and always put your best foot forward in whatever you're doing, because you know it's going to have a long-term benefit, or it's going to benefit you long-term, I should say.
Okay. Like that. All right, Artez, and then we will move on.
I think having a strong future orientation mindset, because it will leave you with less jobs, right? So if you have a strong future mindset, thinking about the future all the time, you'll probably stick with one job and put a lot of focus on building your careers. So you won't be out job, and then later on you catch, like later on, you know, like me and some of us now, like, all right, we're gonna get our career. If we would have had a mindset of the future early, we probably would have had less jobs and been focusing on the career we would have been into.
Yeah. Excellent, I like it. So that future orientation lets you know, this is where I want to be. In 5 years, I want to be a junior programmer. So the jobs I need today to get to that junior programmer, you know, first I need X, Y, and Z certifications. I need to be getting my foot in the door at companies, getting experience, because in IT, as with everything, unfortunately, you need experience to get a job, and you need a job to get experience. And in IT, the hardest job to get is the first one, because you got to be able to convince the person on the other side of that chair to take a risk on you. I'm untried, untested, but I hold these certifications. I spent the last 3 months in a training program preparing me for this type of moment. And if you would like to test me out and give me an opportunity, I promise I will be one of your best employees. You can even steal a page from Walter Bond. What do I need to do to be your best employee? What do you look for on a daily basis in the employees that you're willing to promote? As a supervisor, what are the key attributes you want to see? Then you can also assess yourself. I know I'm weak in scripting. It's a valuable asset in cybersecurity. It's not my strongest suit. So what I need to do if I want to become a high value security professional, I've got to get better at scripting. I've got about an hour free a night. After the kids have gone to bed, the work's been done for the house, I got about 1 hour every night. Do I want to spend that hour watching Netflix? Or am I going to spend that hour trying to learn something that is going to help my career and my ability to earn? So in your modules today, you'll see this document come up where you can kind of see the roles that you want to achieve. Like, where do you want to end up? Is it system admin, application programmer, things like that? Start looking what certifications and or degrees may be required to hold that position. And start looking at working your path to be able to move in that general direction. Because right in this program, this is essentially, if I can find it, this is our first step. You know, it's not our last, but it's our first. And it just gets us on that path and starts that path, moving us in the correct direction. But with this, we can sit there and say, once I'm here, you know, I've got my A+. What next? Maybe it's a Network Plus. Maybe it's AWS certifications for cloud. You want to become a cloud architect. But we got to know where we start from now. That first step, always the hardest one. But once you get it, then you start building that momentum. I think I asked this question in the first day. What's the difference between a stepping stone and a stumbling block? Anybody want to guess on that one?
You climb up on the stepping stone, on the stumbling block, you may, you know, hit a pause.
Okay. Do it. You're muted, sir. You're muted.
Yeah.
There we
So
go.
I think, yeah, I think it is how we see the things. So either we want to be on the top or we want to just hit it and fail. So that's the difference. So it is how we see the thing. Thank you.
Okay, so it's how you see it.
Yeah.
Crystal?
When I think of a stepping stone, I think of, so I was trying to weigh it, and I feel like a stepping stone is something to help you, to boost you, to get you to where you want to be. A roadblock may involve like challenges in
Okay.
order for you to be able to get to the stepping stone.
Okay. Interesting. Joseph?
I would say stepping stone is moving in the forward direction. A stumbling block is something that is an obstacle in your pathway to moving forward. So it's something that can prevent you from that, or something that can help you, make you go backwards from your from you trying to move forward.
Okay, that's fair. My general answer is, the way I view it is it's perception. Stepping stones always move us in the direction we want to go. A stumbling block can be an opportunity for you to grow and learn and develop and gain new skills.
That's true.
Can you say that again, please?
So the difference between a stepping stone and a stumbling block is perception. How do you view it? If a roadblock is put in your way or a stumbling block is put in your way, how do I overcome it? When you're in IT, you are going to face problems that you've never seen before. You very well may face problems that nobody else has seen before. Do you just throw your hands up and walk away? Or do you work the problem, find the answer, and gain another tool in your toolbox?
Yeah.
Nice.
Persistence.
Exactly, persistence. How we look at these problems. You know, don't look at it as a problem, look at it as an opportunity. I can develop a new skill. If I solve something that nobody else has figured out, I can actually help my entire community. Hence why YouTube is so valuable for so many things, right? People don't know how to do something, they go to YouTube, they look it up, and then they get a tutorial. Not all of those tutorials come from big name YouTubers. Some of the most valuable ones come from people you may never have heard of. But yet they figured it out, they solved a problem nobody else knew how to, and then they used it to help their community. So back to what we were talking about, the career path. We have to find out where we want to go. Where do our interests lie? What is it we want to do? Why are we here? And then set our course. Find out what certifications, degrees, experience, what do I need to have in the bank to be able to go for, instead of a help desk, go to a team leader. From a team leader, go to a programmer. How do I make these jumps? Reach out to people in the industry who are already there. Talk to them, look at their resumes, see what they did to get there. Also understand, a lot of times, the requirements on a job application is a wish list. And there are often times that the HR department doesn't necessarily know what skills are needed. They just go grab something online and like, oh, this sounds good. There was an infamous case where there was a programming language that somebody was applying for the job and they wanted 10 years of experience in this programming language. And the program had only been around for 5 years. And the guy who actually created that programming language was applying for the job as a joke, basically saying and putting it out there. He's like, I invented the language and I even don't have enough experience to do this job. So understand, for the most part, it is a wish list. There may be some core things that they're looking for, but for the most part, they want to know you have the skill to do what it is that they need. Here's an example of some career paths you can use. There are different certifications at play. You will notice the Microsoft certifications in here. Unfortunately, those were nuked back in 2020. Those are no longer viable. I think they switched everything over to Azure and a couple others, but they used to have certifications and a bunch of things like Word and Excel and a couple of the programs that they had where you could be a Microsoft certified technician. That is no longer a viable thing. And I think, and some people still post that as a requirement, but what's really funny is all of those are about to expire, I think, by the end of this year, because they only lasted for 3 years and they can't be re-upped. So HR departments who are not aware of this are going to be requesting certifications that no longer exist. So, but unfortunately, we have to get past HR the first time. So your first interview will usually be with HR. They're going to ask you some generic questions, basically make sure you at least know what you're talking about before they will pass you on to somebody who actually is in that position, a supervisor who will talk to you and say, okay, this is definitely somebody who knows what they're talking about and will be brought in. So it's not to say HR is a bad thing. It's just for particular fields, that's not their specialty. So. So there's a variety of skills that we need in order to be successful within the IT realm. So some of the most requested ones are certifications. They may say for this one, we need at least an A+. Some may say we need essentially the trinity of them, which is A+, Network+, and Security+, which are all your entry-level core certs from CompTIA. Some may be more Cisco oriented and go for the CCNA certifications. And that's a different certification path for those who want it. And CCNA is essentially the equivalent of a Network+, but it puts you on a different certification path if you wish to go down that road. Security, things like that. Technical skills. Help desk. Have you ever worked in a help desk environment? Are you familiar with some of the ticketing systems that we use? We'll be giving you guys some familiarity with them. And I do believe Test Out now actually has some simulations for the ticketing systems, which is really nice. They haven't had that before. That is a new thing. So that'll be nice. If you're working on site in an office, maybe it's hardware, software installation, system and network configuration. Definitely going to want to know if you have basic troubleshooting skills, and we will walk through the steps for troubleshooting. And at first, you're going to need to go methodically through each step, but over time, you're going to develop a methodology, and you may be doing 2 or 3 of these steps at one time. But you need to set up a methodology and work through it every single time. Everybody's different. Everybody's going to approach it differently, but first, you need to work through it in a systematic way and learn that path. Because unfortunately, if you skip a step or take shortcuts, you tend to miss something big. The troubleshooting process is the same no matter what you're doing. That can be applied to pretty much anything in life. You have a problem, you try to identify, figure out what your root cause is, and you're going to work through the troubleshooting process. So the troubleshooting process we're going to talk about is pretty much universally applicable. And then other baseline skills they're going to want: communication, customer service. Unfortunately, in IT, it has a almost cartoonish predetermination. People think if you're in IT, you're horrible at dealing with people. If you think I'm wrong, there's a TV show out there, was it called The IT Crowd? Basically accentuates this, and it's a running joke in the class. Thank you for calling IT. If you try turning it on and off again, because they're trying to end around having to deal with people. Just get them to do what they, try it first, then call me. Comcast is taking this to an extreme. If you have a small problem with your router, they literally want you to do a hard reset on your router before they'll even let you talk to a human. It's like before you can even get in line to talk to a person, you have to restart your router. Even if that will cause more problems than if you just talk to a person.
A quick question, Kelly.
Yes.
Are you sharing your screen? Or?
No, I'm not. Apparently, I'm just talking to myself. Why is nobody saying anything?
Because you're listening and it's going so well.
Yes. So, little inside baseball. I often will start without sharing screen, so please shout at me if I don't. And I'm also notorious for starting to talk while I'm on mute. So I'll be sitting here just making wild hand gestures and talking and stuff like that, and think I'm conveying just wonderful amounts of information and nobody can hear me. So shout me out if I'm not, sharing or going through everything. So here we go. And I'll even go back right here. Here's the career path we were talking about, different certifications you can go for, specialist roles, associates, stuff like that, working your way through this particular career paths. Again, we'll be posting these slides to Slack so you can go through them as well. And then here is the IT career path we were talking about initially. So apologies for that. Thank you, Rachel. Just so y'all know, I was enjoying the presentation. All right. So here is a document. Like I said, it's going to be in your modules for today. You can download it and go through it. And this is for you. You're going to upload it for us to kind of look at, but this is to get you thinking about where you want to go, how you're going to get there, and what skills you need to develop to make it there. Might require just a little bit of research. Go on LinkedIn. Maybe find somebody who's on that path and see what it is they need to get there. Or even look at the job boards and see what requirements they have. All right. So this is an exercise we'll be doing a little bit on our own. So kind of getting into it a little bit more as an IT professional when you're working on a help desk. What do you think the average day of an IT professional looks like in help desk? What are some of the things that you'll be doing? Crystal. You're on mute now. We'll get you in just a second here, Joseph. Crystal, you're here talking, Crystal, you're on mute. You're pulling a me.
Okay,
There
sorry
we
about
go.
that.
No worries. I do it all the time.
The first thing that comes to mind when I think of an average day for an IT help desk position is one of the things that I'm trying to avoid, which is crawling around on the floor, trying to link cords and things of that nature. And the second thing, which is what I've had to do in some of my previous positions without it being a job requirement, is to walk people through Microsoft Office applications and help them figure out how to obtain their goal, whether it's like creating a macro or people have different levels of understanding. So for me, it's the crawling around on the floor with the cords and then the Microsoft Office assistance.
Okay. So, with the Microsoft Office thing, yeah, that happens a lot. For the earlier part, crawling on the floor, we affectionately refer to that as office yoga. And we just have to think of it as a way to kind of keep ourselves limber and active in the actual day-to-day activities. Yes, Artez. But good example.
Day-to-day IT, I think, is basically calls. Maybe right now, it could have been different later before. Right now, I definitely think it's hello, Wi-Fi is not working, something of that nature. I really believe that it's a lot of superficial problems that people call for. I know there's gonna be ones where we have to really apply our knowledge, but for the most part, I really think it's just gonna be some little problems. Oh, my Wi-Fi, I can't get into my this, that, and the third. I need help troubleshooting or restarting my computer, something like that.
As with almost any career, I don't know if any of y'all have heard of the 80-20 rule. 80% of your problems are solved with 20% of your effort. And then 20% of your problems take up 80% of your day. So yeah, the majority of it is going to be simple things where, you're going to get people on the other side of the phone, they're embarrassed. They're like, oh man, that's just so easy. Why didn't I think of that? But yeah, sometimes you come across some difficult ones, but yeah, you will have a lot of quick ones that you can move through and take care of. Eric.
So I think usually what help desk would do on a daily basis is mostly interacting with customers in phone or in person. They also can help them like fix any problems they have with their computer or systems, like hardware or software, and help them really just get stuff running again.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are the people who come in and just rescue the day.
Yeah, literally.
You got that, critical presentations ready to go. We got to come in and flip that switch and be like, I'm here all week. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
It rarely works out that way, but it's really nice when it does.
Yeah, it just comes in, help me, and saves the day and just leaves. And oh my God, he's genius.
Hold that thought until review time. I like that, Eric. Cynthia.
Yeah, so I don't really have much information or knowledge about IT, but I did take a course and a certificate on Coursera, but it was healthcare IT. So for me, all I think about right now, I think it's all about taking tickets and assigning them to the specialists.
Okay, that is a part of the day. Let me do one more here, Christine. We will move on here a little bit. No, your mic is muted, I think. I think you had us on double mute, Christine.
Can you hear me now?
I absolutely can, loud and clear.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. In my experience, everyone equates service desk and IT work only to equipment and applications, but record keeping is very important. It can help you moving forward, it can help your team, and it can also keep track of what's not working and what can be fixed.
That is absolutely amazing, Christine. You're probably one of the first students we've ever had that brought up documentation this early on. And you are absolutely correct. Thank you. That was a wonderful one. All right, so the vast majority of an IT professional's day can kind of be broken down into 4 basic tasks. So you have triaging tickets, which is basically setting them up in order of importance and difficulty. Hey, you got a study partner. And then we have tackle tickets, which is the vast majority of your day will be spent doing this, which is you're finding the tickets that need to be taken care of, order of importance and severity. We'll talk about triaging and how to set things up and how do you prioritize and set up your order. And likely you may face a question like that during an interview. They'll say, okay, you have these 2 scenarios happening at the same time. Which one do you handle first? And we'll kind of set you up with the criteria with regards to how you typically would handle that, although some organizations may modify that a little bit depending on what they do. And so that's a pretty good majority of your day is tackling tickets. Triaging, probably about 10 to 15% of your day, maybe. Or you may have somebody on the team dedicated to triaging all calls as they come in. Next, we have installation and tests. So setting up new workstations, installing new servers, all that kind of fun stuff, and or testing updates before we push it out to the entire company. Because if Microsoft or Apple puts out an update and it does not agree very well with our homegrown systems that we build our applications and will crash our systems, we need to figure that out before we push it out to the entire company. So we'll create a sandbox environment of the most frequent or the most popular systems we use within the company and service packs and stuff like that. And we will run our systems on it, test it, make sure it's functional. It's not going to crash the system. It's not going to shut everything down, and we can continue to operate. If it passes all those tests, we'll push them right on through out to the rest of the crowd, and nobody's the wiser. But we don't just blindly throw updates out to everybody, because that can have catastrophic events or effects on our business model. And if you've ever been working at a company where the entire system has gone down, I will tell you that is a really, really bad day for IT. I had it in the first office job I ever worked. They brought me and another person on. We were the first new hires in this office in 10 years. And in 3 months after hiring us, they were switching over to a new system that was fully web-based and all that stuff, and all these fancy bells and whistles and all that stuff. And then the chief operating officer was at our largest customer giving a presentation, a live presentation on this the very same day they were going live to the entire company. Anybody working in IT will tell you this is the worst possible scenario you would want to have. And of what happens, they tested this stuff on a small scale, and then when they rolled it out to 10,000 employees, the servers couldn't handle it. So our COO is literally standing in front of the board of directors of our most valuable customer, and our systems crash. Basically, people lost their job over this, because we very nearly lost one of our most valuable customers. So as an IT professional and stuff like that, our goal is to test as much as we can and try to prevent things like this from happening. We can't see all ends, but our goal is to kind of get the big things. So that falls under the installation and tests. And then we have the respond to in the moment issues. This is notorious, especially if you're working in an office environment. If you are at your desk and then you are going to take care of a situation, somebody inevitably is going to grab you and say, hey, do you have a second to help me out? I'm having a problem. So responding to in the moment issues, or they may just bring it to your office. So this is the basic 4 scenarios that your typical day will run through as a help desk professional. Got a quick quiz, couple questions here. Pause the recording real quick. as well on top of what we just did with regards to the scenario. So what we're going to do for these, so we'll read them out one at a time. And we will say yes. So that check mark yes equals triage. No, or the little red X, equals tackle tickets. Speed up equals in the moment. And slow down equals test and install. So let's confirm everybody's here, paying attention. Can we get yes or check marks across the board? You gotta, in your reactions. Everybody's typing in chat. We want the reactions, the green checks on your screen here. There we go. We're getting them. Getting them. All right. Good. Let's go ahead and remove the checks now, because you have to actively select it again to remove it, but have it up and ready to go. So we will go through these particular scenarios. Call this four corners, but we're not physically there where we can do it, so we got to go with reactions. All right. Set to go. Amir arrives at work and logs into the ticket management system. He begins opening and scanning tickets to determine which ones he will work on first, finds one his supervisor needs to see, and sends it on to her. What is this?
Sorry, which question are you on? Number 2?
Number one.
Okay.
Okay, we're seeing some triages. Seeing some tackle the tickets. In the moment, okay. Kind of going around here. Anybody want to explain this one? And why? Joseph?
I believe it's triage because he's arriving to work. He logs into the ticket management system. He begins actively figuring out which ones he will work on first.
Okay.
And he finds the one that his supervisor needs to see and send it to her.
Okay, so they're assigning tickets based upon
the level
priority
of
and skill. And there will likely be cases you have to escalate, send on to a supervisor. It may be a skill issue where it's something you or your team is not able to handle. It may be a access issue. You may know how to solve it, but you don't have the authority or access to be able to do it. So that is all part of the triage process. Excellent, Joseph.
I have a question. Sorry.
Yes, Cynthia.
But this can also be tackled because it might be like somebody already triaged the tickets and they are on his or help desk, and then he finds the ones that maybe he's not able to resolve and send them to the supervisor. I don't know. I mean, I did say triage in the chat, but I thought maybe it has to be tackling the ticket.
I see where you're going with the tackling, but tackling is you're resolving the issues. This is they're organizing and setting up basically the map for the day. to start to start to tackle. So, but I see where your head's at, Cynthia. I do. I like where you're going with it, but that's kind of where they're viewing it from this particular point. So triage is what they were looking for on this one. All right, let's pull down our reactions for this one. All right, number 2, Amir reopens a ticket of a client who called yesterday. He calls the client, helps him resolve the issue with their email account, and then he closes the ticket again. Is this triage, tackling, install and test, or in the moment?
Kelly, quick question. We're writing no for tackle, right? Because I feel like I'm going.
Yes, no for tackle.
Okay, I'm just okay.
I was hoping people would do it in the reactions, but now it's like been pushed all the way up in the chat.
Yeah, I was
So,
just figuring out.
yeah, no is for tackle, yes. So we're seeing lots of red across the board. It's a good thing. Still see a lot of people really excited about the chat box.
What? I'm sorry. What does the red mean?
No means tackle. That's when I did the directions earlier. So tackle tickets. Yep. And who wants to explain real quick? I'd like to hear something from somebody we have not heard from today. Ninja, perfect.
See, he reopens a ticket of a client that called yesterday, right? And he basically tackled that ticket, which was still open, and he closes it. So that's why I chose tackle.
And that is a very concise way to explain it. It's exactly what we're doing. Realize the issue may not have been resolved, reopened it, calls the client up, fixes it, tackling that ticket, and then closing it back out. Yes, Galen.
So tackle is basically another word for solve. Simply
Yes.
in the simplest way.
Basically, yes. For
Okay,
resolving the issue or solving the problem, yes.
Okay.
All right, let's clear our reactions real quick. Move on to the next one. Amir moves on to the next ticket. He chats with the clients and remotes into her system so he can solve an issue she is having with some software. After speaking with the client, quickly discusses the issue with a colleague since he has not worked with this issue before, and they come up with a solution together. Amir enters some notes into the ticket management system and closes the ticket. Test and install, triage, tackle, or in the moment. Thank you, Eric. Okay. So, seeing a lot of red in here. Seeing some testing.
What's the response for the test and tech? What is that?
Look at your chat. See, Eric just posted a nice little graphic. If you look in the chat, it's probably about the 5th one up. So, who wants to explain this one? Or you want to hear from somebody I've not heard from today? All right, Kayla.
Honestly, I think it's tackle, because he's still closing the ticket, even though he has worked with a colleague. and he got it done. You know, there was no testing done there. I feel like.
That is correct. It's very concise. It might have tested Amir's knowledge because hadn't solved this kind of problem before, needed to consult with a coworker. This does happen quite regularly. Sometimes you have to consult with your other more well-known coworker, Google. A big part of IT is being really good at Googling. Unfortunately for help desk, because when problems come up, and the thing is you'll be able to ask more specific questions, so you'll get better results from Google than somebody who's not worked with IT. So, instead of saying my internet's not working and you get 10 million responses of is it plugged in or all that kind of fun stuff, you can just sit there and say, you can go in and search and say my DHCP server is not responding. So you will have more specific searches you will make. Don't be ashamed to admit it. Everybody consults it from time to time. All right, good answer, Kayla. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and clear our reactions out here real quick. Move on to number 4. And a client comes to Amir's desk and tells him about a problem he is having with his computer. Amir listens to the client and tries to figure out what the problem is. Okay. Seen a lot of blue. Can somebody who we have not heard from today, is there somebody who's not spoken today want to talk about that one? All right, Eric.
I think this one is in the moment because a client is coming directly to Amir and asking him about the problem. And that's why I think it's kind of in the moment. He kind of has to stop what he's doing at his desk to help his client.
That is exactly it. It is an in the moment request.
Right.
They didn't go through the normal channels. They didn't just throw a ticket on the ticketing system or call it in. You're literally getting stopped with what you're doing and having to go resolve another issue.
Yeah.
So yes, this is an in the moment request. Very good, Eric.
Thank you.
I have to put together my popsicle stick randomizer here. Probably do that next couple days. Rachel's group loved the popsicle sticks, by the way. They heard the rattle and everybody just go, oh.
Surprise.
I keep pulling names out until I'm out of popsicle sticks, and then I reset the whole thing. That way I get to make sure everybody gets a chance to talk that day. All right, number 5. Amir figures out he can't solve the client's issues immediately, so he fills out a ticket, gives it to the client, and an expected timeline for when he can expect to hear from the help desk. Second or two. See what we got. See a lot of green here. All right, we're gonna go and do a call out here. Christian, can you tell me why do you think triage?
You said Christian?
Huh?
You said Christian?
Yes. Yes, I did.
I feel like he's just like, actually, I think it's tackle because he's like analyzing the ticket and like trying to deal with it in a way.
All right, I like it. Setting up a priority list for it. Thank you, Christian. Very good. All right, number 6. Amir continues with a high priority ticket. He noticed that morning he contacts the client but cannot resolve the issue. He makes notes and a follow-up plan. So, high priority ticket, couldn't resolve it, contacts the client, unable to resolve it, but still makes notes in the system and makes a follow-up plan. So what are we doing here? Aaron, can you explain for us?
Oh, you said Eric?
Aaron.
Oh, I was about to say.
So
Yeah, I feel like this is a tackle also.
Okay.
Because the ticket is already sorted, which triage already, because it's a high priority ticket, and he basically contacted the client, cannot resolve the issue, and made note of that, and then had a follow-up plan after.
You are correct. You're still tackling. You may not get full resolution, but you are making progress on the ticket, noting and documenting your progress as you go. Not all tickets are quickly and easily resolved. It may take you touching on those tickets 4 or 5 times before you get to a conclusive resolution, I guess. All right. Number 7, Amir attends a meeting to plan a mass software installation. So mass software installation. Miss Adams, can you please let us know what your thoughts are on this one?
So I put installation and test really because I didn't feel like anything else fit, to be honest.
Okay.
I was waiting to hear a little bit more about installation and test because I feel like I understand the triage and tackle and responding to the moment. So that's honestly why I put that answer.
But I mean, the answer's in the question, right?
Right. It uses installation
There
and
you go.
test. So I'm like, okay, it has to be that.
That is fair. And sometimes the answer is just that easy. The answer is in the question. We're about to do a software upgrade for the entire company. It could be, 500 computers that need to be upgraded to, the newest version of software, the new service pack. And we have to get that completed over the next 6 months. We're going to need a meeting to go over this. We're going to talk about how we're going to perform this installation. Are we going to be doing this in batches? Are we going to try to push it all out in one night? If we're a 24-hour operation, how do we determine, who gets done and when? So all of that falls into that installation and test. It's usually larger scale when you're talking about mass installations, and it's going to be complicated because if you're a 24-hour operation, you can't just shut down operations for 5 hours to do an installation, can you? Typically not. So you might have to work in shifts. So, IT might have to come in at night and work on the day shifts computers, and then do the night shift computers during the day. Or if you're hot seating employees in and out every, doing desk sharing and stuff like that, you might have to do it in waves, like pull down small batches at a time in order to do this, and typically during your low traffic times. So installation and test may not take up a massive amount of your time, but it is one of the more critical ones and can have the most dire effects on your company's systems if not done properly. So thank you. Lastly, Amir returns to his desk and reopens the ticket management system. He calls a client who's having issues with the internal folder sharing network, resolves the issue, and closes the ticket. All right, let's go with Brianna.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
I just picked tackle because even though Amir had to, he couldn't solve it right away, but eventually he did figure out the internal folder sharing issue and he closed the ticket himself. So I picked tackle.
That is a solid answer. That's what we're looking for. Thank you very much. So basic, just a quick review. 4 basic tasks you'll be doing for the, as an IT professional on average, you're going to be triaging tickets as problems come in. You prioritize them, try to figure out what needs to be done in what order. Does it need to be escalated? Is it something myself or my team can handle? And start organizing the workflow for the day. After that, we start tackling tickets, closing out those issues in priority order. And then, if we get all that done, we play video games the rest of the day, I guess. But, oftentimes we do have administrative stuff we got to do. We got to look towards installs and tests, new patches and software coming out on a regular basis. So we got to work on that and see, hey, how are we going to handle this? Are we going to do it all at once? Are we going to do it in waves? Are we going to do it by department, by shift? How are we going to handle it? And then finally, in the moment issues. They are important, but they can be some of your most frustrating because it's usually happening while you're in transit or when you're at your desk working on another issue. Somebody will come up with an issue in the moment for you to resolve at that time. So, questions or comments on that? All right. All right. Guideline and procedures. Can anybody tell me what the difference is between a procedure and a regulation? When you hear those 2 words, what comes to mind? What would be the difference between a procedure and a regulation?
Well, procedure, I would think of like a more of a rule. I would say a regulation is more of I could be wrong, just throwing an educated guess. More of like a just trying to find the right words. I wouldn't want to say law or just trying to find the right words. It's like I have an idea, but I just can't find the right words.
Okay, well, you're knocking on the right doors. Stephen.
When I think of procedure, I think of like the steps or a way to do something. Like And then when I think of regulation right away, I think of regulation as a rule, actually.
Okay.
So that's like the two differences when I think of those words.
So if your boss comes to you and says you didn't follow proper procedure,
That means I didn't do something the way it's supposed to be.
okay.
Yeah. And if I didn't follow the regulation, that means I didn't follow the rules. That's how I think about it.
Okay. Still knocking on the right doors. I like that. Donald.
I think regulations are rules, and then procedure is the process you would take to like go around those rules and like follow them through your procedure.
Okay.
Uh,
Excellent.
Kelly.
Good answers. Yeah. Cool. Who's speaking?
Oh, that was Joseph.
Yes.
The reason why I had said rules were like with the procedures, because I usually hear the terms being used together, like rules and regulations. So if rules were regulations, it wouldn't have been like used separately.
Interchangeably. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We're getting some good answers here. Ume.
Yeah, to me, procedure is kind of getting the job done, and the regulations are like to maintain something, some rules maybe to get the job done, to get the procedure done.
All right. I'm liking the answers we're getting here. Very good. Thank you, Ume. We'll get one more. Rena.
I think procedures is like a established way of doing something, and regulations often have like are backed by penalties.
Okay. Another good example. The way I always heard it stated was procedures are something we impose upon ourselves. So as an organization, we will say, these are the proper procedures. This is how we get things done. These are the frameworks in which we will operate. Regulations are something that is imposed upon us by some governing body. You know, be it like the SEC, FBI, you know, but some
Can you
governing
say that
body
again,
basically saying,
regulations, because the service was choppy.
no problem. So basically, procedures are rules, you know, rules that we impose upon ourselves. This is the way, as we say, as a company, as an organization, this is how we're going to do things, and this is the correct way we want it done. Regulations come down from some other governing body outside of the organization that basically state, to be in compliance with the law, you must do A, B, and C. You know, if you want your certification or your license or whatever, in order to stay active, you must comply with these regulations or rules to make sure that you stay within compliance. So that being said, depending on what organization you go to, you're going to have a huge variety of procedures. So you need to be made aware of the procedures of the particular organization in which you're working. If you're in a small company and you are brought in essentially to establish these, then it will be upon you to set up those procedures so those who come behind you will be able to follow the same rules that you have set forth. That would be in the best interest of the organization. Example is, you know, Amir escalating a particular ticket to a supervisor. Now, Amir may have the skills and the ability to handle whatever ticket comes down that pipe, but unfortunately, he may not have the authorization or the access to be able to do it because they may have a limiting factor, and it may be for certain types of regulations in place. Like if you're dealing with people's personally identifiable information, so security numbers, addresses, names, birthdays, all that kind of fun stuff, they may not want having everybody to have access to that. So in order to make corrections to those types of systems, it may have to go to a supervisor. That may be a procedural or regulation rule that's in place to protect clients and their personal information. This is extremely important when you're dealing with PHI or personal health information in the healthcare industry. They take that very seriously. So as you're moving from, if you move from organization to organization, or your first time stepping into an organization, you'll be able to adapt to these new situations and be mindful of the procedures that are going to, you're going to be working under. And don't worry, they're, if it's a good organization, they're not going to expect you to know all this stuff off the bat. And there's going to be a level of training in order for you to understand. You're going to process of escalation. There is a multitude of ways you can use that. Yes.
You're a little choppy. Just
I'm
letting
a little
you know.
choppy. Comcast. All right. Well, can you take us home, Rachel? This last couple slides.
Sure. Do you want to continue sharing or?
I can continue sharing. Just let me know when to change.
Okay.
I think we only got 2 or 3 slides.
All right. Is this the next slide?
I'll move to the next slide. Yeah.
Okay. Behavioral skills, mindset connections. How does having and following guidelines and or procedures put in place by a company relate to the future orientation mindset? That's one question. And at the start of the program, we learned about the generation behavioral skill adaptability. Why will adaptability be so important in your role as an IT professional?
We haven't gotten to adaptability yet, but we will today.
So, okay. I was like, I think this is to come, right? Going to move on to the next one.
Helps when I'm not on mute. Oh, we don't need this one. Oh, here we go. We just got to wrap this up.
So we're just revisiting the objectives. We describe the opportunities and potential pathways for IT professionals and the value of being trained for an IT role. Number 2, explain the primary responsibilities of an IT professional and how those may play out in a given day. And thirdly, we articulated the importance of getting to know the guidelines and norms within an employer organization. And that wraps up the session for today. Are there any questions?
No, thank you. This was beautiful.
Oh, wonderful.
Well,
Ume still
Rachel
has
said-
her hand up. I didn't know if you have a question.
Might just be
No, I
stretching,
forgot
just,
to lower my hand. Sorry.
just staying active, gotta, even digitally, we gotta do that. All right, so go ahead and stop the recording. All right, 1 technical session down, 49 to go.
Exciting.
Feel the excitement.